No one spoke his name lightly. Not in crowded halls. Not in quiet corridors. Not even behind closed doors. Because Duke Lucien Viermont was not a man people discussed. He was a man people avoided. Respected. Obeyed. Feared. They say he dismissed an entire council in one night. They say he ruined a family without raising his voice. They say too much. The whispers always ended the same way. Cut short. Silenced. Because repeating stories about him felt like inviting his attention, and no one wanted that. His estate reflected him. Cold. Orderly. Unforgiving. Everything in its place. Everything exactly as it should be. Nothing unnecessary. Nothing soft. Nothing that suggested warmth. You will not speak unless addressed. The head steward's voice was sharp as he walked beside her. I understand. You will not ask questions. Yes. You will not draw attention. A pause. Especially not from him. Elena Marlowe nodded. Because she understood instructions. Because she had followed worse. Because survival often came down to knowing when not to be seen. Most don't last a week. The steward glanced at her. Why? They try to change things. Elena's expression didn't shift. And that's a problem? Yes. A pause. Because he doesn't. The first time she saw him, he didn't look at her, didn't acknowledge her, didn't react. Because he didn't need to. Lucien stood at the far end of the hall, speaking quietly to another man. His voice was low, controlled, measured, but the man in front of him, he looked like he was barely holding himself together. Because the Duke didn't need to raise his voice. He didn't need to threaten. He simply decided. And things changed. Elena kept her gaze lowered, moved when she was told, stopped when she was expected to. Because drawing attention would end this before it began. You. The word stopped her. She turned. Slowly. Carefully. Because that voice. There was no mistaking it. Lucien's gaze settled on her. Not quickly. Not carelessly. Deliberately. As if deciding whether she was worth noticing. Yes, Your Grace. Her voice was steady, even if her pulse wasn't. You're new. Yes. How long? A day. A pause. And you're still here. Yes. Something shifted. Barely noticeable. But enough. Why? The question was simple. But it carried weight. Because it wasn't curiosity. It was evaluation. Because I was hired. That's not what I asked. Silence. Then. Because I intend to stay. The words settled. Different. Unexpected. And for a moment, the room felt quieter. You intend to stay. It wasn't disbelief. It wasn't approval. It was interest. Yes. Most don't. I'm not most. A pause. Clearly. He studied her. Longer now. As if searching for something. Weakness. Fear. Anything that would confirm she would leave like the others. But she didn't give it to him. You'll leave, he said. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't a warning. It was a conclusion. No. The answer came without hesitation. Without doubt. Without permission. Silence. Heavy. Unavoidable. Because no one spoke to him like that. Not here. Not anywhere. You're confident. No. A pause. I'm certain. A flicker crossed his expression. Gone as quickly as it came. But real. That won't last. Maybe. A pause. But I will. The answer lingered. And something in the way she said it, didn't challenge him. Didn't provoke him. It simply stood. You don't fear me. It wasn't a question. No. Why? A pause. Then. Because fear doesn't change outcomes. The words landed. Sharp. Precise. Unavoidable. Lucien didn't respond immediately. Because that was not what he expected. Not from her. Not from anyone. Everything here changes because of me, he said. Yes. And that doesn't concern you. No. Another pause. Longer this time. You don't understand what I am. I do. Then explain it. Elena met his gaze. Fully now. Without hesitation. Without avoidance. You're a man people don't question. Silence. You're used to being obeyed. A pause. You expect people to react. Another pause. And you don't like it when they don't. The room stilled. Completely. Because that was not something anyone said. Not to him. Not ever. And you think you're different. His voice was quieter now. Lower. More focused. No. A pause. I just don't see the point in pretending. Something shifted again. Deeper this time. Less controlled. More real. You should be careful, he said. Why? Because people who don't pretend. A pause. Usually don't last. Elena's expression didn't change. Then I'll be the exception. The words settled, and for reasons he didn't fully understand. Lucian didn't dismiss her, didn't send her away, didn't end the conversation. You'll regret that. Maybe. A pause. But not today. Silence. But this time, it felt different. Because for the first time in a long time, someone wasn't reacting to him. Not with fear. Not with hesitation. Not with submission. And he didn't know what to do with that. Days passed. Quietly. Predictably. Except, they weren't. You're still here. Yes. Why? Because I said I would be. The same answer. The same tone. The same certainty. You don't change anything. No. Why not? Because nothing needs to be changed. A pause. Accept what you decide to. He watched her. More now. Not openly. Not obviously. But enough. Because she didn't try to soften the space. Didn't try to fix it. Didn't try to change him. She simply stayed. And that was new. You don't speak much. You don't ask much. A pause. Fair. Another silence. But this one, it didn't press. It didn't suffocate. It simply existed. You're different, he said one evening. It wasn't praise. It wasn't approval. It was observation. So are you. The word slipped out. Quiet. Unplanned. His gaze sharpened. How? Elena hesitated. Just slightly. Then, you're not as unreachable as they think. The room stilled. Because that crossed a line. A line no one stepped over. And what makes you think that? His voice was quieter now. Lower. More dangerous. Elena didn't look away. Didn't step back. Didn't soften it. Because you're still listening. Silence. Complete. Unavoidable. And for the first time, Duke Lucian Viermont had no immediate response. Because she was right. And that was something no one had ever been before. Lucian did not answer her. Not immediately. Not because he didn't have one. But because the one forming in his mind did not fit the version of himself he had maintained for years. You assume too much, he said at last. Elena didn't move. I observe. A pause. And I listen. Silence settled between them again. But this time, it wasn't his silence. It was shared. You think listening changes anything, he said. It does. How? It tells you what people won't say directly. A pause. And what do you think I'm not saying? Her question came gently. Not challenging. Not sharp. Just there. Lucian held her gaze. Longer than before. Because answering that would mean acknowledging something he had never needed to name. Nothing that concerns you. The answer was quick. Controlled. Familiar. Elena nodded once. As if accepting it. As if it didn't matter. And somehow, that unsettled him more than if she had argued. You don't push, he said. No. Why? Because if something matters, it comes out eventually. A pause. And if it doesn't, then it wasn't worth asking. The simplicity of it. It stripped away everything unnecessary. Everything performative. Everything he was used to navigating. And for the first time, he felt something unfamiliar. Not resistance. Not control. Something closer to stillness. Days continued. But not the same. Not entirely. Because now, he noticed her. Not just her presence, but her absence. When she wasn't in the room. When she wasn't moving through the halls. When she wasn't there. The silence returned to what it had been before. Heavier. Sharper. Less balanced. You've adjusted the schedule. His voice stopped her mid-step. Elena turned. Yes. Without permission. Yes. A pause. And you're still here. Yes. His gaze narrowed slightly. Explain. She didn't hesitate. You weren't resting. Silence. So I moved the timing. That wasn't your decision. No. A pause. But it was necessary. The words echoed his own. And something in his expression shifted. Not visibly. But enough. You're not afraid of being dismissed. No. Why? Because I'll leave if I need to. Another truth. Unpolished. Unprotected. And yet you haven't. No. A pause. Because I don't need to. The statement lingered. Because it wasn't loyalty. It wasn't obligation. It was choice. You stay because you want to. Yes. Lucian looked at her differently then. Not as someone temporary. Not as someone replaceable. But as something else. Something steady. Something that didn't shift under pressure. That's dangerous, he said. Only if you don't understand it. Silence again. But it no longer felt like distance. The change came slowly. Quietly. Unnoticed by anyone else. He spoke more. Not often. But more. You didn't respond. You didn't ask. A pause. Fair. He asked more. Not directly. Not obviously. But enough. You've worked in places like this before. Yes. And you left. Yes. Why? Because I needed to. The answer didn't satisfy him. But he didn't push. Because now, he understood her rule. If it mattered, it would come out. And it did. You should eat. The words caught her off guard. She paused, looking at him. I will. You haven't. A pause. I noticed. She didn't respond immediately. Because that was new. I've been busy. That's not a reason. A pause. It's an excuse. The correction was quiet, but firm. Elena exhaled softly. Then I'll fix it. He watched her. Not with authority. Not with expectation. Just attention. And something in his chest. Something long buried. Shifted. You don't treat me like they do. The words came late one evening. The room dim. The fire low. Elena looked up. Like what? Like something untouchable. A pause. Or something to fear. She considered that. Then, you're neither. The answer came easily. Too easily. You're wrong. No. A pause. I just don't see you that way. Silence. Heavy, but not suffocating. Then how do you see me? The question came before he could stop it. Before he could control it. Before he could dismiss it. Elena met his gaze. Steady. Unshaken. As someone who's been alone too long. The words landed. Not like an accusation. Not like a judgment. But like something else. Something precise. Something undeniable. Lucian's jaw tightened slightly. That's not your conclusion to make. No. A pause. But it's the one I came to. Silence. Longer this time. Because that wasn't something he could dismiss. Not easily. Not entirely. You don't understand what it takes to run this estate. I don't need to. Then you don't understand me. I understand enough. His gaze sharpened. Explain. Elena didn't hesitate. You've built everything on control. A pause. Because it's the only thing that doesn't fail. Silence. But control, she continued, quieter now, doesn't fix everything. The words lingered. Because they were dangerous. Because they were true. And you think you can? No. A pause. I think some things don't need to be fixed. Lucian studied her. Carefully. As if trying to understand something he had never considered. Then what do they need? Elena hesitated. Just slightly. Then, someone to stay. The words were simple. Uncomplicated. But they carried weight. Because that was what she had done. From the beginning. Silence followed. But this time, it wasn't empty. Lucian looked at her. Really looked. Not as a servant. Not as someone passing through. But as someone who had remained. When no one else had. And for the first time, he felt something unfamiliar. Not control. Not certainty. Something else. Why, he asked. The question was quiet. Barely above a whisper. Elena didn't look away. Didn't soften it. Didn't avoid it. Because you needed someone to. The answer landed. Clear. Unshaken. Final. Lucian's breath stilled. Because no one had ever said that to him. Not like that. Not without expectation. Not without fear. And something in him, shifted. The silence that followed was different. Not heavy. Not sharp. Not controlled. It felt open. Lucian leaned back slightly. His gaze still on her. But not as distant. Not as guarded. Stay. The word came quietly. Almost unrecognizable. Elena blinked. Just once. Because that was not an order. Not a command. Not an expectation. It was something else. Stay, he said again. Quieter this time. Less certain. More real. And for the first time, the most feared duke in the world wasn't asking for control. He was asking not to be alone.